you want to be proactive with your sensory input. So you want to give your child that sensory input before they struggle or have a meltdown. As you saw in Melinda's video today, she uses the chair band, which is one of my favorites because it is affordable, it's durable, easy to use. I can honestly throw this in the sink with my dirty dishes and wash it, and it's clean. So I love this chair band. So Melinda uses it in a proactive manner. She has it on his chair for when he eats dinner, for when he does homework. They bring it to grandma's house for dinner, and she just slips it on the chair so that, as she says, his busy feet are constantly getting the input they need. So that is taking your sensory diet and making his sensory needs a priority and being proactive instead of reactive. So being proactive is giving them the sensory input they need before anything happens. Reactive is giving the sensory input after a meltdown or after a stressful moment. So really knowing the difference is huge, and it's important.